This
So today,
conference will now be recorded.
so we'll be looking at inquiry-based learning approach today, and I really hope we have a productive time together with you. And I really hope to, learn from you, and so we can all, hear great ideas from you as well, and so we can learn from each other today. And this is my first time actually presenting online. It's my first experience presenting online, and I hope everything goes smooth. I hope we have stable internet connection. And so welcome again. And when using the word inquiry, I wasn't sure, whether to use the British version, which is inquiry with an E, or American version, which is inquiry with an I. But since I found that inquiry with an I is widely used in education, so I'll be using American version today. So there's no big difference. It's the difference, only geographic difference here. But you've got handouts that go with the session today. So much of what I'm talking about you will be able to take away and digest at your own pace. And you'll be using chat box to share your answers during the discussion time. So please share your responses in the chat box. I believe we can all see the chat box, I believe. So we'll see each other's responses as well. And yeah, let's see, what is the aim of this PD session today? Let me see, let me move to the next slide. So the aim of this PD session, so today we will look at theories and research behind inquiry-based learning approach. We will consider what does inquiry-based learning look like in a classroom. We will reflect on what inquiry-based learning might mean to you and your students. And I will also introduce you Kat Murdoch's inquiry cycle, which I think is a great framework. And honestly, my main goal in this session is to encourage Landau Primary School to implement Kat Murdoch's inquiry cycle, to implement this framework. And I hope as a school we can build our units and lessons based on this framework in the future. So before I start, I would like to introduce myself so you know who's running your PD session today. I'm Shabnam Hedarzadeh. I am a Fulbright scholar at the moment at Western Michigan University. I'm pursuing my master's degree in educational and global leadership. And I've been teaching in international schools around Baku over the course of 15 years. And I have spent the past 9 years, working with an international baccalaureate school. So and I was implementing international baccalaureate program in my lessons. And so, as we all know, probably that inquiry-based the IB International Baccalaureate program places structured inquiry at the heart of the learning process. And so I had also a chance to complete a Cambridge International Teacher Certification.
Who am I?
Okay. So yeah, I have also I had a chance to complete Cambridge International Teacher Certification program, where I had a chance to implement inquiry-based learning approach and strategies in my lessons. I was able to bring global context to implement global context in my lessons, and my units of inquiry were evaluated by Cambridge examination, and I feel proud that I completed the program with distinction. So I hope I'm qualified today to speak and to talk about the inquiry-based learning, and I'll be sharing my experience with you all today, and be using some lesson samples from my own classes, from my own lessons. And let's get started. So before we start, I would like to ask you this question. Could you please share your answers again in the chat box? So what do we mean by inquiry-based learning today? When we say inquiry-based learning, what do we mean? Could you please share your responses in the chat box? What do we mean by inquiry-based learning? I would really like to see, your ideas and your experience. What do you know about the inquiry-based learning approach? The reason why we're using chat box today, because of the internet connection. We don't want to have any problems here, so with chat box will be easier. Yeah, we have someone saying that class makes investigations about the topic. Yeah, exactly. We encourage students to investigate certain topics. Thank you, Mr. Forum. It's an active, students-oriented learning based on questions. Exactly, Ms. Nabar. Yeah, they're learning through inquiry and they make research. Exactly, they go to the libraries. Why exactly they keep asking questions about the topic. You can see many of you already have an experience with inquiry-based learning approach, share the ideas within groups, pairs, exactly. Yeah, with inquiry-based learning approach, we're turning our classrooms into high energetic centers. You know, it's when we really develop students as independent learners. We encourage them to speak, develop curiosity. How do we share our roles? Thank you for great ideas here. Great, thank you, Ms. Lamia, for participation. Thank you for your great ideas. Students must have specific questions on the topic. Exactly. We'll be talking about it, by the way, about being specific. Thank you so much for sharing your, you can still continue, you can still tap your answers. We'll look at the responses here. Now, my next question actually is, what is a teacher's role during this process, during in the inquiry-based learning classroom? What is the teacher's role in this process? Exactly, teachers talk less. Teachers are not the sage on the stage, right? They make students feel independent, right? Yeah, guide students. Thank you, Ms. Gulnar. Support and guide the students. Yes, exactly. Yeah, you provide opportunities for students to develop. Yeah, this is actually the reason why I put boat picture here, because in the inquiry process, I see the teacher as a captain and the students are the crew, and the captain is leading the crew to find the shore, to find the land, and kind of you guide the crew to find the key answers to the key questions, right? Someone is sent me the privately, please let's not make it privately, let everybody else see your responses. Let's not send private. Inspire, motivate, exactly, Ms. Rihanna. Yeah, so we encourage students to ask questions. We encourage students to find answers themselves. Yeah, we're not the only source of information in the classroom. We're not the ones who are giving the information, but we're there to guide, scaffold them, right? To we facilitate the learning process to help them to find the answer to their questions that they really are curious about. Thank you for your great answers. But what inquiry-based learning is not? As we know, as one of you actually mentioned here, inquiry-based learning is not generic. We always focus on specific questions, on questions that actually focus on specific topics, right? The questions that lead us throughout the inquiry process. And the teacher and the lessons, usually they say that inquiry-based learnings, they are, they can be chaotic, but no, it's not chaos, because teacher is there to facilitate then the learning and investigation process, right? Teachers there to model instruction, so it's not free reign, because teachers are giving clear instructions, they model the instructions, and students are aware of their responsibilities. They know what their role is throughout the inquiry process. Thank you for keep sharing the superb answers. And so we know that I'm gonna, before I continue, I would like to share a video with you. It's a short extra. Yeah, I'm gonna be sharing a video with you. It's a short extract from Harry Potter, and you just gonna give you a clear picture of with the difference between the traditional learning and the inquiry-based learning. I'm going to share my video now, and I hope you all can hear it.
In the Order of the Phoenix, the fifth of the Harry Potter series, Dolores Umbridge takes over as the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher and instantly transforms the classroom into this textbook-based, standardized, test-focused classroom. And Harry questions whether this will prepare them for fighting against Voldemort, he who must not be named, and that's when Umbridge punishes him. And he ends up forming his own school within a school called Dumbledore's Army. Now, Dumbledore's Army is purely inquiry-based. While Harry is the teacher, he is mostly the guide on the side, empowering students to ask questions and find the answers themselves. They rely on each other and on various spell books to solve problems and answer their questions. It is a space of experimentation. And while the process might seem messy compared to Umbridge's standardized approach, the students learn at a rapid pace because they aren't wasting their time repeating what they already know. This is an example of inquiry-based learning, although since it takes place in the UK, it's probably...
So you could all see, yeah, the difference between the traditional classroom where the teacher is focusing on textbooks, the teacher is focusing on the teacher guides, right, and providing students with the knowledge that the teacher thinks is, good for students, while Harry wanted the students and his peers to focus on on the areas of their own interest, right? So it's really important to consider students' areas, students' needs, and their interest in the learning process. And the teacher is there again to provide feedback, to scaffold them, right? To provide them with all the information. Of course, the teacher is not there to let them do what they want, right? It's not about, again, as I said, free reign, but you're there to guide them and provide them with information that you think could be helpful, and provide them with books, with materials, and so on. And okay, so I'm going to continue with two theories that really support inquiry-based learning approach. The first theory is John Dewey's theory. So Dewey, he believes that action is really important in the learning process. He believes that students really learn when they actually are motivated and when they are studying what matters personally to them. So in most schools, I think this is not actually considered. Yeah, students' interest is not even considered. What Dewey believes that students should take their learning, their knowledge beyond the classroom and make connection to the real life situations. And he is also a founder of pragmatism education. Pragmatism is an opposite of idealism. You've probably heard about idealism, which refers to having high principles, right? And ideals. Why pragmatism is, it's based on real world conditions. It's about, what can realistically be done, right? And so you really encourage students to connect their learning with real life, real world situations. And you can see in Dewey's model, which is very much close to the inquiry process, where students are, reflecting on their learning, and then they present their findings, their knowledge, and then they decide how they're going to use this knowledge, how they're going to apply it to in the real world. And say the whole process, the learning process is only, the student is doing always, is always in action. And we can see the students keep interacting with the environment in order to adapt and learn. Teachers and students, they learn together. Teachers should not know all the answers. Teachers should not be the only source of information in the classroom. And teachers should not, they should actually present the real world problems to the students. And teachers direct and guide the students to solve the problems by giving them direct activities, to find solutions or to learn the solutions. So the next theory that really supports inquiry-based learning approach is the Vygotsky's theory. He believes that a child can do what a child can do today with assistance, she'll be able to do it by herself tomorrow. So he's actually a founder of cognitive development theory. He believes that students construct their knowledge, yeah, and that knowledge is not passively transferred. It's something that the students can personally construct. Yeah, so according to Vygotsky, it's important to have a social interaction with an adult. So students should have, not only with adults, students should be actually collaborating and cooperating with their peers in the classroom. Yeah, they should be actually collaborating with their parents, and they should be going to, they should go to different communities and get knowledge from people, get information from people who are knowledgeable about it, right? So for example, let's imagine you provide a student with a jigsaw puzzle. Yeah, for the first time, you're giving a jigsaw puzzle to a child, and you're telling the child, can you solve this jigsaw puzzle? And of course, it will take either a long time it will take forever probably for the student to do it, or he or she won't be able to do it, right? But if you, as a parent or as a teacher, sit together with the student and interact and help the student to do it, right? You guide the student in this to solve this jigsaw puzzle. The student will develop the competence at this skill, right? He will develop the competence, and which he will actually later apply in the future jigsaw puzzles, right? So Vygotsky also shows us this zone of proximal development theory, which says, in the first layer, you can see the first layer says that student cannot do, and the second layer he or she can do, but with guidance, and finally in the third layer the student can do it independently. So, and if you look how to apply zone of proximal development, we can see it's actually basically the inquiry-based learning process. So you identify students' prior knowledge, you build on knowledge through scaffolding, you help students connect their new learning to their prior knowledge. So there are actually many theories that support inquiry-based learning approach. And what I would actually like to introduce you today is Kat Murdoch's inquiry cycle. I believe this could be used as a framework in our school, and we could actually design our unit plans based on this framework. We could actually plan our lessons based on this framework. And if you look at it closely, we can see there are 6 phases in the inquiry cycle here. These phases by the way, you have them in your handouts. You can see what questions the students can ask themselves during each phase. And it can actually help us to structure our inquiry process, right? To make it more productive, and the phases, the activities in each phase can lead us to find answers, to sort out the information, to go further with our topics, to make conclusions, and to take actions. And we could always use this inquiry cycle as a display in our classrooms or outside of the classroom. And your unit can be based on this, as I said earlier. And the visitors or the parents, or even you and your students, it's good for them to see it every day, when they come to school, so they know, okay, this is what we're doing today, this is what we're in finding out process now. And how did you do the finding out process? You put the students' work on a display board. How did you do the sorting out process? How did we go further with this? And what kind of conclusions were made? And what kind of actions students took at the end of the unit? And of course, reflection is very important during each phase. It's ongoing, where students reflect on what they've been doing and what they've been learning throughout the process. So what we'll do now, I will provide you with the tuning in activities, with some examples of tuning in activities, and what kind of activities we can do during this part. And I think this is the most important part of the inquiry process. And at the end of this presentation, I will encourage you to work with your grade level teams and to create a tuning in activity for the unit that you haven't taught. But before that, I will of course provide you with some examples, and so you have more ideas about it and have a clear picture about it. So as I said earlier, I think tuning in is the most important part of the learning process, of the inquiry process, because in this process, you motivate your students. You motivate them to ask questions. You want them to seek answers. You want them to be thirsty for learning. Okay, you model curiosity here. And if you can do it, if you can tune in students in this process, that means the whole unit, will go smooth, and the students will enjoy it, because you could actually get their attention. You could, you could actually help them to develop, to be curious about the topic. And so in one of these activities, like, you can provide students with a touch and feel, for instance. You're going to be actually the students now. So imagine you're given this touch and feel box. You can also call it a mystery box, yeah. And you hide all these objects, and students touch and feel and take out all the objects, and we put them on the carpet, and then you can sit in a circle. And I'm going to ask you now, what do you think? Again, please, let's write the responses in the chat box here. So what kind of things we can see on the carpet? What kind of objects we found from the mystery box? Can you quickly, I know you can do it quicker than kids because we're adults here. You can quickly write down the name of the objects we found. We can see here, right? I'm going to help you with this. Yeah, we can see a toothbrush. This is a wooden bed, by the way. It's a wooden bed, and there's an apple book, right? And there's a skipping rope, exactly. So now I'm going to ask you, what do you think? How can we use them in our daily life? How do we use these objects in our daily life? Like, how can we use the yoga magazine in our daily life? How can we use a toothbrush in our daily life? Can you please quickly type the responses, like choose one of the objects and tell us like how you can use it in your daily life. Like, why do we need a bed? There's a wooden bed here. Why would we need, how can we use apple, right? How can we use a bowl or math flashcards? By the way, these are math flashcards. This is a school picture. It's a school. By the way, this is a science book. Yes, we can eat an apple to stay healthy. Thank you, Ms. Gulnara. We can play with this, okay. What can we do with a soap? What can we do with an apple? What can we do with a school? Why do we need school? Why do we use flashcards in our daily life? We use a toothbrush to keep our teeth healthy and clean, exactly. We play tennis, okay. Wash our hands, exactly. So after students identify, we can use a jumping rope for PE lessons, exactly, Ms. Narmina, and skipping rope to exercise, exactly. So here, actually, you get those answers from students, and you can put them down on the flip chart or on the whiteboard, right? So we found lots of action words here, right? What we can actually do with these items. And now I'm going to ask you, oh, very good, Ms. Aigun, very quick, right? So what do you think? What do all these things have in common? What do all these things have in common? And yeah, we've already got someone saying, Ms. Aigun telling us it's about healthy life, right? Daily routine items, yeah. What do all these things have in common? Oh, wow, yeah, what do you think the topic of the lesson here is now? What do you think our unit is going to be about? Things, use them frequently, materials in science lesson, senses, keeping fit, exactly. Yeah, actually, yeah, the unit is about, healthy lifestyle, yeah. And with this tuning and activity, you actually let the student, to ask questions. They develop their curiosity. They keep asking questions. They want to know more about the unit now, right? They feel more engaged now in the process, in the learning process. Thank you for your superb answers. Thank you, guys. And let's move on. Like, you can actually use as a tuning and activity. You can use animations. You can use situations, role plays. You can use a book related to the topic. You can use pictures related to the topic. You can use paintings. Well, it's not actually, yeah, you kind of warm up, but we actually, the main goal here is to get their attention. We really want them, we want to develop their curiosity. Yeah, we want them to ask questions, right? And at the same time, we're checking their prior knowledge here. What do they already know about this, right? So we're checking their prior knowledge, and we want them to think of questions they want to ask themselves. They want to investigate throughout the unit. And like, for instance, like here, let's imagine you're learning about Victorian time, right? And you provide them with old-fashioned objects, right? And you ask them, what is this object? How do you think it works, right? You encourage students to observe, to be observers. In this process, you encourage students to think and to observe things closely and to wonder about things. Yeah? And the wonder process is when they ask questions, about things that they are puzzled about. And so what do you think, how it works? And what might it tell us about how people lived or communicated in the past compared to how we do today? So again, you encourage students to describe the forms and to make connections, right, with the present life. So you can choose a book related to the topic, to your units, and encourage students to think, what do you think the cover of the book tells you? What is the name of the book telling you, right? What do you think it is about? So you really want the students, yeah, you're leading. You kind of want, in this phase, you want them to be active thinkers. You want them to observe things. And I'm going to do this activity with you. So I had a unit, and one of my units was the central idea there was children's games and toys change over time and are different from place to place. So our lines of inquiry, what I really wanted the students to focus on here is how games and toys change over time, and to find similarities and differences of games and toys from place to place. What I really wanted to do here, I wanted them to actually to see the change, yeah, how things are changing, and causation, and why is it like this. I want them to explain, like, why is it like this. So you can always use, this is also this is a thinking routine from Harvard Project Zero. You can use paintings or images related to the unit and encourage students to observe and think. So let me again, you're going to be my students now, and can you please look at this painting? And please type for me, what do you see in the picture? What do you see in the picture? Please share your responses. What do you see in the picture? Children playing? We're actually, the question is, what do you see, right? Okay, happy children, okay. Beautiful view, sunny day, happy children playing, happiness, okay. Playing outside. Freedom, very good, Ms. Gilnar. Children are having fun, okay. Yeah, you expect students to tell you as many nouns as possible, because in this process you're asking, what do you see? In the next process you're going to ask, what do you think is going on? So what do you think? Yeah, you see clouds, weather, okay, house. What do you think is going on in this picture? Next question. I expect you to be faster than kids, right? Competition, okay. Having fun. So what do you think? We're actually now in the thinking process. We already said what we see, and now let's go to the thinking process. What do you think is going on here? They're playing, they're enjoying, pulling game, having fun. Okay, let me now ask you, let's go to the wonder. Usually you will actually stay longer and expect students to say, actually students, I will share so many ideas. They love observing, they love thinking. They will be even, better thinkers than adults. They will give you so many ideas about the pictures and what they think, what they see. And let me ask you now, what do you think? What does it actually make you wonder when you look at this picture? What would you like to know about the picture? What things are not clear to you? What questions would you like to ask yourselves? Okay, what are the rules for this game? Okay, What game are they playing? Exactly, very good question. What are they playing? So let's ask questions. When you look at the picture, what do you want to know about this painting when you look at this painting? Where are they exactly? Where are they? What's the goal of this game? Exactly. Who is in the opposite side? Very good question. What are they doing exactly? Are you wondering like who could these kids be, right? Who are they actually, right? What are they doing there? Who are they? So the students, why is one of them on the ground? Okay. This is exactly what one of my students asked. Why is the student is crawling here? I see a student crawling. Why is he crawling? And the funny thing is that one of the students saw a girl here, a girl with a hula hoop. Honestly, I don't know how he got this idea from, but he saw a girl with a hula hoop. So keep asking yourself questions about, yeah, like, don't you want to know, what actually, more information about the painting itself, right? And now I'm going to give you a key word. Okay, key word is Winslow Homer. Winslow Homer is actually an artist, is the artist who painted this painting, this picture. And so this is going to be your only keyword. And now please choose one or two questions that you asked and take at least like 3 minutes or 4 minutes to search the answer, search for the answer. Try to find the answer for your question on the internet. And your quick question, your keyword will be Winslow Homer. Okay, because when you ask your question, make sure you use this keyword because because this painting is actually, it belongs to Winslow Homer. So your answers, this keyword will lead you to the answer, okay, to your question. So you can think of two or one question. It could be two questions or one question that you asked. And please take 3 minutes to search for the answer. I hope the instructions are clear. If they're not, please ask questions. So again, I'm showing you again this so this is our central idea. This is what we're looking for. The key concepts are change and causation, and the keyword is Winslow Homer. And please find the answer to your questions. Let's see what you can find out about this painting. The students love doing it. Students love having this freedom, to find the answers themselves. They don't want the teacher be the one, who's always giving the answer. They don't want the textbook that always tell them what to do, but they want to seek for the answer themselves. I'm giving you 30 minutes, and I'm going to set the timer for myself. Please, let's not share answers now. Just keep the answers, find the answers, but you will have a chance to share them. But I see some people already found. Okay, you will have a chance to share the answers, but for now, what you have to do is just to seek for the answer as much as possible, as much information as possible about this painting. You can focus on your questions, but sometimes students ask the question, but then the information they find, they want to keep going, with the question, and they want to know more about it. Questions actually lead them to get more information about the topic or about anything that you're introducing them. Still have 2 minutes left. it's always important to provide students with keywords when you send them to inquire, when you send them to do a research about a topic or about anything. It's really important to provide them with key questions because of, as you know, as we all said, we're there to scaffold them, we're there to guide them. We have 1 minute left. I wonder how much information you found about this painting and about these children. Okay, guys, 3 minutes passed. Okay, it's already 3 minutes, and let's go. And it's time to share the answers. So you're looking at the painting here. So what is the name of this painting, guys? We can share the information. What is the name of this painting? Yeah, the name of this Snap the Whip, exactly. And when was it painted? Anybody found this kind of information? When they were exactly in 1872. And who are the children in the picture? Some of you already said actually that some of them, you said that American children from America. Some of you said they're the students, okay, the schoolboys, exactly, schoolboys. And where are they from? Yes, they're from America, exactly. And what kind of game are they playing? What kind of game are they playing? And as you already said earlier, the name of the game is Crack the Whip, yeah, or it's Crack the Whip or Snap the Whip, right? And what is the building in the background? Yeah, it's a school. And what is the message conveyed in the artwork? What kind of message the artist is trying to convey and send us? Has anyone found this? The message that the artist, teamwork, collaboration, nostalgia, exactly, unity. Look at the kids, they're barefoot. This is they realism, okay. They want to, maybe they're not, the artist wants to show the freedom the students have, yeah. They have open space, they're barefoot, they do whatever they want, they feel free, right? This was actually painted during the Civil War. And so this painting, yeah, they're feeling independent, exactly. This painting helped me to get students, to tune in students, yeah, and to help them to be curious about more games that students played in the past. They wanted to know, what other games students played in the past, and do we still play those games? So this tuning in activity really helped me to first to check their prior knowledge to see what they already know about about games in the past, and what words, of course, at the same time, that let's not forget that our students are ESL learners here, but at the same time we're developing students language skills here, right? So our also main focus is to develop their language acquisition, right? And what I really love, the main reasons why I really love inquiry-based learning approach, because the second language learners get chance to develop their language in a very in a very rapid way. It goes, they get the opportunity to acquire the language in a natural way. They learn it unconsciously, right? So the one providing them with grammar rules. Grammar is always in the context. Yeah, when you describe this picture, what kind of grammar you could use with with descriptions? Yeah, describing the picture. You could use present continuous, yeah. You could use so many different kind of grammar rules, in the context. Present continuous, exactly. So we're always, language, the grammar is always in the context, and they learn the vocabulary in a more, natural way. And let's continue with this. These are some ideas that my students shared, what they think they see in the picture, and then they wondered about things. And this is actually mainly what they think is happening there and what they think is going on. I just took some of the ideas. And okay, this is my class. Again, this is my class, and our unit here was about we're learning about culture is part of identity that is strongly linked to a particular place. So we were actually investigating the culture of our country, of Azerbaijan. And since I wanted them to investigate and learn about our culture, right? We wanted them to learn about the artifacts, that are related to our culture. I wanted them to be, thinkers. I wanted them to observe things closely, right? So I wanted my students to be archaeologists in this process. So I wanted my students to feel themselves as archaeologists because they're going to be investigating their culture. Yeah, they're going to be looking at different artifacts in their culture. So to make them feel as archaeologists, I provided them with different tools, that archaeologists would need. They will need a sieve, they will need a magnifier glass, and I had a sandbox in my classroom with sand here. And what I did, I buried lots of different kind of items in the sand, and so I wanted them to dig up these items, and then to think. And I provided them with questions for them to think. What do they see? What is it? What kind of, when they find the objects, I want them to observe it. What kind of material is it? What shape is it? What size is it? They were measuring it. And so what I did here, my main purpose here was, again, tuning in, right? I want them to be observers. I want them to be curious about things. And I had a corner here with Azerbaijani national costumes and artifacts that I found. And some of them they brought from home. They found some artifacts, some items from their grandparents, from their great grandparents. And we made a small corner of Azerbaijani, artifacts here. And what I managed to do in this process, they were so engaged. Yeah, they really wanted to know more. They're just waiting for me to give some hints, and that's it. They would just continue themselves. They would just some keywords, and then they would continue themselves because they had so many questions about it. They wanted to observe everything. We went to the museum in Baku, and they were observing every artwork in the museum. Uh, Usually when you go to the museum, students, will feel bored. Yeah, like why in the world I'm here? Like why do I, why this is so boring? Yeah, usually they find museums very boring, right? But you had to see students in the museum. They wanted to observe every artifact in the museum because they were already feeling themselves as archaeologists. Yeah, they want to know more about it. They want to know, what shape, what size, what patterns they can see there. And so and of course, so many words they learn in the process, right? So many words they acquire in the process. Of course, they might not know all the words, but they keep asking. Yeah, they keep asking me. They also use, the dictionaries. Google is there, of course, to help them to translate certain words. So they dove in this learning process, and they are engaged to find the meaning of the words themselves. You don't have to be there, to provide them with vocabulary. You don't have to be there, to give them the whole information. They're already curious to know it. They already want to know it themselves. And so now I'm going to provide you, I'm going to show you one of the units that this is going to be my last activity. And finally, I will encourage you to to work together. So this unit actually will show not only the tuning in part, it will show also other phases of the inquiry cycle. Remember, there are 6 phases in the inquiry cycle, right? Right now, I only showed you the tuning in part, which I think was very important. But in this unit, I will also show you the other phases of the inquiry process. And our unit here is about animals. But again, when we say animals, it's kind of broad, right? But let's be specific. Let's choose a central idea here at to our inquiry, right? What do we know? What do we want to know about animals? So right here, we want to know how animals and people interact in different ways in different contexts. And what we really want to inquire here is we want to find different roles animals play in people's life, and we want to know the suitability of particular animals for specific functions, and we want to know our responsibility for the well-being of animals. What we really look here for connection. Yeah, we want them to connect. We want them to feel responsibility. So how can we add purpose? Like when we plan our units, right? It's really important to have a purpose. We're not planning this unit for the sake of, program. We're not doing it for the sake of, scope and sequences, right? We wanted this to be for the sake of students, right? We want to consider their needs, their interests in this process. So I really love using the golden cycle concept by Simon Sinek. He is encouraging us to to ask the question why, to add purpose to everything that we do. So let's see, like what do we want to know in this unit? We want to know some facts about animals. We want to know human impact. We want to know the role of animals, the role animals play in our everyday lives, right? We want to know our responsibilities for the well-being of these animals. At the same time, we want to know what grammar we want to teach in this unit, right? So when we design our unit, we should also think, what grammar do I want to teach students in this context? Yeah. What writing type I want to teach students in this process? So what do you think? What writing type could we use for this unit? Any ideas? What writing type could we use? If we're learning about animals, what writing type you think we could use? The many writing types: persuasive, descriptive, right? Explanation, okay. Yeah, I was thinking, how about using informative writing? Since they are learning about the animal, right? They're going to be, if you will see in the next part, they're going to be experts in this process. So yeah, informative writing. Yeah, we're going to get information about our animal, because in the next question, when we ask how are we going to learn about this, right? So we're going to be experts. I want my students to feel themselves that they are experts. Yeah, they're going to be experts on a particular animal, but then they develop greater understanding on other animals as well. And then my final question when I design my unit plan is why, which is the core question, right? Why am I doing this? It's because I want children to recognize the important connection between humans and animals. At the same time, of course, I want them to acquire certain vocabulary. I want them to learn, certain writing type, certain grammar rules, right? There are many actually goals behind the why. And so we want to add purpose to our unit, right? And before you start the inquiry, also, it's important to design your classroom based on the topic that you're teaching, to design it, to choose a theme, yeah, the theme which is related to your topic. So because as it says here, it's Louis Job says, environments are invitations for inquiry, right? So we want to invite them to inquiry process. We want to make them feel, engaged again, and we can do it with our classroom. So we can have a design, we can have a corner here that shows, animal habitats, right? We can have a corner where they can, you provide them with books about animals, and where they can role play with puppets and with things that they can play vets, maybe. Yeah, they can be vets, they can role play, and they can read books about animals. And here you can have a writing station where they can practice writing the name of animals, right? Or if you think they should practice certain writing skills, you can actually provide them here with this opportunity. And this can be kind of a free inquiry process, yeah, a free inquiry process when the students are learning, yeah, during the free time, during the break time, or yeah. So they have kind of you provide them with that environment where they want to know more about their about this unit, about this topic. Prompts for learning. So after you have the environment, you have your topic, you design your classroom, yeah, find a theme for your classroom. So what do you think? What kind of tuning and activity? I already provided you with some tuning and activity ideas. What do you think? What kind of tuning and activity I could choose for this topic? Any ideas? What kind of tuning and activity I could choose for this topic? You don't have to give me like details, but just shortly, what could it be? Because I already showed you some examples there as well. How could you get your students to tune in? Yeah, different animal pictures, and let them ask questions with, okay, what they can see. Very good. Discuss in pairs. Okay, guess who am I? Ah, who am I game. Great, very good idea. Guessing activity, exactly. Children describe the animals and others guess. I love this game, yes. Matching activity, could be matching activity, okay. Sorting out. Remember, sorting out is the different phase of the inquiry cycle. We're not in the sorting out process now, but we are in the tuning in process. Maybe yeah, it could be kind of activity, maybe they with pictures. But because sorting out is itself one of the phases of the inquiry cycle, that's why. Yeah, so what I decided to choose for this unit, I decided to watch the video. So I found this video in YouTube, and I wanted them to watch a video about animals. This video actually, what I really liked about this video, it had different animal pictures, and it really stimulated discussion. So I asked them first, during the video, I had to stop it, pause it sometimes, and ask the questions such as, what's the name of the animal? Wanted to check their prior knowledge, whether they know the animal names or not. Yeah, exactly. Storybooks can go well with this because animal sounds very, very good. Yeah. So yeah, with this video, I wanted to stimulate discussion. So I asked them, what they already know about this. Do they know wanted to check, whether they know the animal their names, and there were also some animal habitats. They wanted to see, if they know the name of the habitats, and then after the video, I asked them to choose one animal. Yeah, in the video, like it could be, any animal. It could be a tiger or a dog or a polar bear. There were different kind of animals in the video, and I wanted them to choose one animal and draw a picture of that animal. And then after they drew their pictures, I wanted them to provide at least 5 questions they would like to find out about this animal. At least 5 questions they want to know about the animals. Yeah, KWL chart could be, yes, it's when exactly the great way to check their prior knowledge, right? And so yeah, they find the questions, and they should ask 5 questions about this animal. And you can also, during the discussion, you can also ask them, to check, to ask them questions such as, what is this habitat? As I said, you check the habitat, and is it mammal? Is it reptile? So you also want to check, if they already know the different types of animals, is this animal mammal? Is this a reptile? It's okay if the student doesn't know. The student can go like, what, Ms. Shabna, what is mammal? Well, it's okay. So you already just check their prior knowledge. They don't know what is mammal. They go like, okay, what is mammal? But you develop curiosity here. You develop curiosity. Yeah, they want to know what is mammal, what is reptile that Ms. Shabnam is talking about to us. So, and then in the finding out process, this is the next phase of the inquiry cycle. You move in from tuning in to finding out process, right? In the finding out process, you already provide them with materials to search answer to find because again, here they ask questions, right? Now in the finding out process, you want them to find answer to their questions. So you provide them with websites, with books. You can also lead them, tell them to ask someone who is knowledgeable about this topic, and at the same time, in the finding out process, you also provide them with information that follow the questions, that lead answers to the questions such as, what is mammal, right? What does endangered mean? And what happens to animals when it become extinct? What are reptiles? So you teach different categories, animal types, and you make sure that they know their different animal categories. And so in the finding out process, you are providing information, the information about the topic. And in the sorting out process, you already want students to, they should already be ready to categorize the animals. They already can match the animals to their habitats. They know their role the role of animals in our lives. They can compare, if they work with their peers, they can look at each other's animals and they can compare them and they can contrast them. They can identify similarities. So they already know, they can manage, the information that they already gathered. Yeah, during the finding out process, they found that so many information, and now they can organize this information. They can analyze it. They already, try to sort out the information that they have. Exactly, they can use Venn diagram. They can use different diagrams in this process, right? To kind of sort out the information that they found. Again, the teacher is the one who's providing the students with diagrams. He is the one who is leading them. And so with this, they want to know, okay, that I have the information now. Okay, the next, what else I can learn about this information, right? We go further with this. Let's go further with the information we found. How? Because remember, one of the lines of inquiry was human impact on our animals, on animals' life. Yeah, our responsibility for animals' well-being. Remember, so if we look at our responsibilities for animals' well-being, we go further with this, and we look. I showed them another video where they were looking. They watched a diver in Bali, who was showing how ocean animals, was suffering in polluted water. He found lots of trash in the ocean, and so the students who had sea animals, they joined together. They work in a group because they have the same animals, because the animals from the same habitat. So they work together to find out how human impact to their habitat. And then the animals, the students who have animals from a safari, they join together, and they see, again, you provide them with information where you show them how some animals, are in danger, they're about to extinct because they're hunted. And so you provide them with this opportunity to learn, to find out what is the human impact, how the actually human affect this animals, in safari, and their activities affect the human in this in safari, and how the human activity affects animals in Arctic. Right. Again, in the going further process, you encourage students to go deeper, to learn more about they've learned about the animal. Now they're learning about the animal habitat, right? Now they're learning what's the human impact on their habitat. Now they're learning about their responsibility. What should they do to protect the animals? What should they do to keep to protect their habitats? And again, you're there to guide them. You're there to guide them with websites. You're there to guide them with keywords to search. You're there to guide them with books, right? And finally, making conclusion part. Making conclusion is another phase of the inquiry-based learning, which can be your summative assessment part. Is when the student already has all the information, and now it's time to present this information. Okay, we sorted out the information, and now let's present it. And we went further with it. We found even more information, and now we want to present it, right? So to present this information, you can see the student, we made a poster, and these are the questions the student asked. There are 5 questions. The one question says, "What does the snake sleep?" The student asked. How does a snake eat and drink? Is a snake a mammal? A snake is a reptile. What is a reptile? How does a snake move? So, and the student, of course, had the answers because they found the answers themselves. Remember, you leading them to find the answers. And then they found some interesting facts about snakes, that snakes are cold-blooded, that they move with using their muscles and bones, and that the longest snake is reticulated python. And they find the facts that even teacher is not aware of. Even teacher doesn't know this information, but the student knows because this is a curious student. This is a student who is investigating, right? As an expert in this animal. He's an expert here who wants to know more about his animal, his or her animal, right? So after he found he presented some great information that he found during the inquiry process, and now he's giving us some information. What advice would animals give to planet, to people? What is our responsibility as human to protect animal habitats? Again, they use the information that they found. What they think the animals, what kind of messages the animals give to people. How can we actually protect their habitats? So this can be your summative assessment. Again, your summative assessment does not have to be a standardized test. It does not have to be a multiple choice test. It does not have to be, I don't know, kind of traditional way of assessment. In this kind of assessment, you're actually preparing them for the future. You're preparing them as independent learners for the 21st century challenges, right? You help them to develop and practice their life skills. And so they made a conclusion, and then finally, the most important part is the action part. Do is theory, remember? So how can they actually put their knowledge, their information in action? In the action part, the students, it's important, so they realize what can they do with this knowledge. Okay, we found it, we learned it. So what can we do with this knowledge? Why did I learn this? I learned it because now I'm gonna take some actions. The student decided to use cotton bags from now on. No more plastic bags because they ruin our habitats, right? No more. The student decided to recycle different items at home. The student he went home and talked about recycling, and the student decided to use paper bag and bring his lunch in a paper bag and not to use plastic bags anymore. So the student is using different, like she used her T-shirt to make a bag, and of course an old T-shirt. She used different boxes to keep her stuff, for different purposes. And of course, action, as you can also see in your handouts, action is very important in every phase. You always encourage students to ask questions themselves: what went well, what they think they should learn more, what they think went wrong during the inquiry process, and of course, finally, when you finish the unit, this is an action part, the final part of the final phase of the inquiry process. Again, they reflect what did they learn, what they do with this learning. Now I would like to ask you, what is the role of inquiry in learning? After everything you watched, after everything you heard, what do you think? What is the role of inquiry in learning? How can this inquiry-based learning framework, the Cat-Murdoch's inquiry cycle, affects our students' life, our students' learning process? What is the process? What is the role of it in students' life? Could you please share your answers in the investigation and exploring? Exactly, they're exploring their surroundings. They are observers now, right? You help them to be observers. They feel it. Yeah, they're independent. Exactly. Exactly, they will never forget how to do it because they learned it themselves, right? This is the area of their interest. You lead them on the way, yeah, on the way of research. Exactly. They share their ideas. They learn from their peers. Exactly. You develop sense of autonomy, responsibility. You develop, you actually develop life skills, right? Thinking skills, problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills. Yeah, they're able to solve problems themselves. With this inquiry-based learning approach, we even won't need a class such as a conversation class in the school anymore, because they are so much engaged in communication and speaking, right? So much vocabulary here to learn. They will memorize. Yeah, they don't have to. Yeah, they're learning in the natural way, right? Responsibility. They feel responsibility of their learning. Exactly. They're learning at their own pace, right? Thank you so much for your answers.
Miss Shabnam, are you?
Yes, I'm here.
Miss, are we supposed to send answers via messaging or?
Chat box. We have a chat box here to share our responses in the chat box.
Can we share answers orally?
The reason why we decided orally, you want to say it orally?
Answers orally, yeah, by speaking.
Yeah, sure. You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome to do it, please.
Yeah, inquiry-based learning means a lot, since it requires teachers to allow lessons to be to make their lessons first student-centered. Guidance of teachers sometimes, guidance, a lot of guidance, I mean, massive guidance of teachers sometimes causes a lot of problems to students. So they could not carry out any investigations, carry out any research on the internet. So they could not, so there's no potential growth in their mindset for more important, let's say, investigations. As you said, they need to be assisted by teachers to increase curiosity, in learning process. By encouraging them, making an inquiry on themselves gives them a lot of golden opportunities. Let's say, you assign them a new task, which is about investigating water cycle, let's say, or growth of plants. If they are not thoroughly, directly engaged in the process of planting a seed, they won't understand it thoroughly, how the process happens, how it functions, how it grows further. Therefore, in all aspects of teaching, inquiry-based learning is valuable, it's priceless. In school settings, there must be special grounds, sites where students can freely carry out experiments,
research, yeah.
labs, or expeditions, open fields. Teachers can, in my experience, I have done a lot of inquiry-based lessons, organized inquiry-based lessons. It has been significant, let's say, irreplaceable influence on students in learning.
I agree. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your own
Great.
experience. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. You're absolutely right. Yeah, you really help students to be, get control of their own learning process and learning their own space on their own pace. And by the way, here when I showed you the action part, I forgot to share you some ideas like what else encourage students to do. In the action part, you could also encourage students, to create a website about the animals, right? Where the website where they can actually call people for different actions, yeah. And then you could also encourage them you can take them to the beach and collect trash there. Yeah, that's another action you can encourage students to do. You can also like what I did once with my class, we made a birdhouse and we put in our schoolyard, and we kept students. We always put some seeds there. We made sure that the animals are not hungry, the birds are not hungry, and so it was that all these actions help students to realize, to put their learning into action, yeah, to connect their learning into real life situations. So yeah, and I'm really glad that we had someone here. I mean, I wish I could give you more chance to speak, but the reason why I decided to do it to keep writing on the chat box because just to save some time, because I wanted you to also spend some time on the group work. And so yeah, as we agreed, as we all found out that. So what is the role of inquiry-based learning in primary school? Again, we want students to be engaged in teamwork, and we want them to take ownership of their learning, and we want them to find their needs and their interests. We want to add purpose into our units, right? We want to allow students of all abilities to be engaged in learning process and demonstrate progression, right? We want them to work in teams with their peers and learn from each other and build skills, yeah, in this process. And so Now we have to choose here. Do you want to be a facilitator or do you want to be a teacher? Do you want to be a sage on the stage or do you want to be, you know, the ones who are guiding students, right? Well, so of course, as facilitator, we want to reflect on the purpose of learning and teaching. We want to make plans for the inquiry-based learning opportunities. We want to facilitate classroom learning. We want to serve primarily as a source, yeah, as an expert who's guiding teachers, students, provide them with keywords and with websites where they can actually carry on their research. And we want to guide students through their learning process, right? We want to allow them to direct their own learning. We want to model this learning, provoke further inquiry, and challenge thinking. We want to make time for sharing outcomes, reflect and share our, celebrate our learning, right? And so finally, yeah, there are challenges in the inquiry-based learning approach because it could be time-consuming, but it's more intense learning process, right? It could be messy. Some people say it's messy, but it's more authentic application of real world situations, right? We actually apply, as I said many times, real world, make connections with real life situations. It could be loud or chaotic maybe, but students are more engaged. And if the students know what they're doing, they are aware of their roles and their responsibilities throughout the inquiry process, you can always control chaos. And it could be unpredictable. Yes, you can. Anytime you can make adjustments to your units and considering students' needs and interests, right? And of course, it demands collaboration, teamwork in the among your peers. As teachers, we should always collaborate in our grade levels, and because this is, you know, it's when you're actually being creative. Yeah, as a teacher, you don't need a teacher guide to follow you, to tell you what to do, but you're using your creativity, right? And you're considering your own classes, your own students' needs and their interests. And finally, I want you to do a group work. So I'm trying to speak less, but at the same time, I'm trying to give you more information, but and share more ideas. So what I would like, it was my turn to speak, now it's your turn. We always say this with the class, my turn, your turn now. So I would like you to choose a unit, please, to choose a unit that you have not taught, we haven't taught yet. It can be your next unit maybe, and create a tuning in activity for that topic, for that unit. So we're only focusing again on the tuning in process, which I think it's very important part of the inquiry process, right? So and work with your grade levels, please. Can you choose now, maybe one of you, I don't know how you usually meet with your grade levels, but you probably know it better than me. So could you please join with your grade level teams? And you will have 10 minutes to prepare the tuning in activity. And after 10 minutes, we can all come back here and see what and share your ideas, your tuning in activities with everybody. So again, you'll be working in your team levels, in your team grade level teams. And if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask before you join with your team members. Is everything clear? If everything is clear, please could you just tap OK. Okay, so I know that you know what the instructions are clear and you know what to do.
Teachers, if your coordinators are there in the group, I mean, you can just enter her room and you can carry on your activities. If your coordinator is not here, then just choose one teacher in your grade and then you can all just gather there and just go with your activities. Is that okay, Ms. Shabnam?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's okay for me. Yeah, sure.
All right. Okay.
As long as they are together.
Yeah. So you can lead teacher.
If grade ones are here, maybe they can go ahead and start presenting their tuning in activity. Or if grade 2s or 3s or 4s, if you guys back here and you're ready to present, be great to start.
Ms. Dinara, your teachers are here. I mean, can you start now? I could see all the grade 1 teachers here.
Oh, grade 1s, as always.
Yes,
grade
we
1s.
are here, Ms. Sangeeta.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Ms. Shabnam, grade 1 can start now.
Great, yeah, let's get started. Yeah.
Yes, we choose Miss. Hello, everybody. My name is Lala Shahmalieva. May I speak?
Yes, Ms. Lala, please go on.
Yes, we chose the topic material. we have in science lesson, we are teaching materials. Like we can do this activity, we can put a blindfold on and try to, using our senses, try to identify, explore objects, materials. This activity we can do, and we have the questions like, what do you think these things sound like if you tap them, or what do you think these things smell like? Okay, like describe it using our senses.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
That will be a tuning activity, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
So you're going to provide them with different objects, right? Related to
Different
what
object.
is the topic again? And the topic is about 5 senses, you said?
Materials. Yeah.
Materials. Materials.
Materials.
Okay, so touch and
Yeah.
feel.
We can provide them or
great.
put in a box or in a bag and put a blindfold on and let them describe it, let them touch it, use their senses, describe it. Tell the properties of materials. Is it plastic or metal? What is that? How does it smell? Look like or feel it?
Exactly, and then we can also encourage them to think, how do people make this? How do we make plastic here? Where does the plastic come from? How this certain wooden material come from? This part, they wonder about, encourage them to think like, okay, how can we use, how are these things actually been created? It's a great time for them to inquire and wonder and ask questions about this topic. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Thank you.
Our grade 2 is back here.
Good morning, everyone. This is Ms. Gülşen from grade 4. We had very short time to discuss only 3 phases. So while discussing, we talked about our next unit. It's going to be a myth and the legends, our literacy unit. So we thought that in the first phase, we can use pretending and acting like Greek gods. Like children can wear, we can provide them with some scarves or some fabrics. So they would cover themselves and pretend themselves to be like Greek gods, and or we can do some role play in order to pretend and think themselves as gods or Greek characters. Later we thought about the second phase, which is sorting out, and there we thought to talk about more specific characters, to recognize the character and the features. And so we had discussions with Ms. Aygün, and we thought to give some materials for reading and asking questions, give them list of gods and goddesses, so they will find out the way they are living or some of their lifestyle. And or maybe we can use freeze frames later in sorting out, so the children can, if they remember the scenes from the books that they have read, or from the words that they read from the books. So
wow, you actually planned, you made activities for each phase almost, right?
Yeah. So as we discussed all of these steps later, we didn't have to go to the very end. This is all for beginning.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, actually you only had to focus on tuning in, but you already had some ideas for finding out and sorting out. Thank you so much. Yeah, and exactly, in the finding out process, but yeah, we can again, our questions, you said you ask questions because you want them to, kind of, you're leading the inquiry process, you want them to be actually to wonder about things, right? The questions that you ask, kind of leading them to inquire and ask themselves questions to kind of guide them to again to wonder about things. But the questions themselves, they usually come from the student, right? Because they are the ones, they will be focusing on their questions when they carry on research or when you investigate the topic. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your ideas, Miss Gulnar. Miss, I'm sorry if I said your name
Sure.
wrong. Miss Gulshan, yeah. Grade 3 teachers, would you?
Good morning again. It's Gülzade Zamanov from the third grade. Actually, sorry for having the camera off because of my internet connection. Like we teachers, we decided to discuss about the topic adjectives. Like actually, we had a part of this topic with the children, and we saw that it's very interesting, and we will continue with the adjective topic. So we thought to kind of prepare something for adjectives about feelings. And the first stage would be like this. We would give the children different kind of emojis, and also give them like matching words. For example, the happy emoji, the sad emoji, and so on. And the children are supposed to match them together in pairs in the first stage. And then in the second stage, we thought about writing the word adjective on the board and asking them like what they understand about the word, like what does it mean adjective. So they can give different kind of answers for eliciting the term adjective. And moving on, we would like to elicit about the adjectives they know, like writing the adjectives they know on the board and continue. Then the next stage, we would like to continue with the find a person, for example, they have a list with adjectives of feeling, happy, sad, and so on, and like they should ask from each other, how do you feel? Like, okay, this person, she feels happy or sad or I don't know, emotional, and they make such a kind of small activity. And at the end, as an extended activity, they are supposed to write a short, let's say, essay or kind of short story about how they feel when they wake up every day, for expressing their feelings, like for using the emotion adjectives that they already learned.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I hope you were using before sending it to groups. Actually, I had to remind you to look at your handouts, because in the handouts the questions can lead you, can help you to plan your tuning and activity or other phases of the inquiry cycle. Yeah, and the topic is actually the only thing. My main concern is here about grammar again. Grammar in the inquiry process is always in the context. We can't look at the topic as an adjective. Adjective cannot be our topic, because it's not a topic. It's a grammar. It's something. It helps us to build correct sentences, right? It helps us to express ourselves properly, right? It's something that we'll be using while we're teaching a topic that can be, that can help students to investigate and to learn, that has a concept, has a meaning, right? The topic that they can do something with this, get some information, the topic that is informative, right? So we're looking for the
actually
topic. Yeah.
Sorry, Miss Shabnam, for interrupting you. I'm really sorry about that. Like, actually, the main reason why we decided to choose a grammar lesson was that, like when we monitor the lessons, like about grammar lessons, most of the children are quite bored, and I think that it's really important to make them more interested about grammar, about learning it. So, like in some cases, we are like most cases, the grammar is taught like just like, how can I say, ordinary rules. This is this, and you have to do this. So that's why we decided to have a different kind of approach for inquiry learning, to involve it also with grammar. But yes, like.
Yeah, you had great activities. I really liked your activities. Yeah, the activities are kind of leading them exactly as you said, to speak, to form sentences and use grammar in the context. Yeah. So as I said, like, it's important when you design your lessons, it is important to choose what grammar you're going to focus on in this unit, right? What writing type you're going to focus on in this unit. It should be taught, of course, all the time, because it helps us to express ourselves. But again, it should be in the context. The student, as you said, the student shouldn't feel that we are doing grammar-based lesson here, right? Okay. Okay. So thank you so much, Miss Zara. Thank you so much for sharing your.
You're welcome. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. And finally, we have grade fours. Yeah, lucky grade fours, always the last ones to speak.
Grade 4's already finished, actually.
Grade 2. Grade 4's finished? I thought grade 1's did it. Oh. So grade 4's already presented? Who hasn't presented that?
Yeah, now we're just waiting for grade 2.
Ah, grade 2's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Sangina.
Welcome. Grade 2 teachers.
Okay, Ms. Shabnam, thank you very much for the great informative presentation, let me say webinar. So we discussed with the grade 2 teachers, and we decided to have the lesson in science about the plants. The first thing that we're going to do is to show the pictures, like all of the kind of plants in different habitats, and just to ask some questions. So what do you see? What kind of plants do you see, and which kind of habitats they growing? So like most of them, they will say that yes, in polar parts, there's no plants there, right? Because it's very cold, or kind of can ask like in desert, we have very few plants that's growing in that habitat. And also, actually, it depends on the place where our school situated. Like, I'm lucky that the LandauSchool Labitlar, we have the park and we have lots of trees there. So I can go outside and we can investigate that plants together, like looking at the trees, at the flowers and kind of things. Even now in winter, we can observe that there are no leaves on the trees. And so they can have some kind of questions and also answers already that, yeah, it's winter, the leaves fall off. And also, yeah, then again, like for investigating, so we can have like pots, soil, seeds, water, and asking like, so from which part should we start? What do we need to grow the plants, to plant any flower that you want? And they will just engage in this. They will have their own pot. They will use that seeds. They will water them. And also, it's not just for one day, this plant, because we will have that investigation perhaps 1 month or 1 week, just seeing how our plants growing up. And yes, that would be our actions, I think. Like we talk about the plants, we ask the question. Yeah. Thank
you so much. We actually wanted only to focus on tuning in, but you guys, you already considered all other phases. Thank you so much.
Yeah, but it's about our tuning in. Okay. Yeah, I got it. So it's about the pictures of different plants with different habitats, like, yeah. And also we can have video also about this. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I actually had a similar unit. I remember when before I started the unit, what I did, I put them. I had different flower pots. One of them, before I actually started teaching this unit, we were taking care of that plant. We were watering it, but the other plant was was left behind. No one took care of it. And then finally, when we started the unit, we looked at these 2 plants. So what's the difference? Very good. Like you kind of want the students think, as you said, you provide them with seeds, with water. You want students think, what do plants need to grow? Yeah, and what kind of habitat, as you said. Because each plant has its own habitat. What happens if you change the habitat of the plant, etc. Thank you so much. Thank you, teachers, very much for being here and for for this superb answers and for these ideas that you shared with us today. And I really hope that in the future we focus more on this inquiry-based learning framework and together, collaboratively, of course, because this is something that you have to work collaboratively. It's nothing like to do. It's not only about one teacher designing this unit. It's about the whole team focusing and thinking and practicing their creativity and to design the unit. And so I really hope that in the future we have this opportunity to work together to plan units where the students, you know, are active learners. They're in the center. Yeah, they are not they're the ones who are looking and seeking and thirsty for learning, right? They're seeking for answers and thirsty for learning. So great, thank you for being here. I don't want to keep you longer. I hope you guys have a great weekend and enjoy your rest of the day. And I'll see you all, maybe see you next time. I don't know when, but maybe we'll see you all again. And again, you have your handouts. Don't forget to use those handouts. They show the whole inquiry process. They show the questions in the handouts. They lead you, yeah, how to design your inquiry-based learning lessons. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day.
Thank you, Ms. Shabnam.
For providing this
Really,
opportunity.
very I thoroughly enjoyed, and so do my teachers as well. Like, yeah, there was a time where the teachers they just take the center stage and they just talk and talk and talk, and the children were not getting any opportunity to express themselves. Like, but now the time is changing, and it's high time for especially for the teachers to just get into the new transformation, which to just set the right climate and facilitate them and just guide them and, you know, stay out of the stage and give the stage to the children to more. Like, of course, it is time consuming. Your classroom will be too noisy and it'll be messy. I still remember one of my lesson observation, like my mentor, like he just gave A to the noisiest classroom, and then the class the teacher who had a very perfect lesson, the classroom was very quiet, and I was very shocked to see why he just gave that. And I asked him, like, I mean, he told me, yes, I mean, I have given ticks for everything. She had the right objectives, she did the warm-up activities, she did the main lessons, everything was perfect, but everything went from the teacher, like nothing from the pupils, like, you know, whereas in the other classroom was very noisy, it was very messy, like, but I mean, the real happening, learning was happening over there. So I consider that is more relevant and needed for the pupils, like, so that is called the student-centered learning. So that will happen only when students start asking more of their questions, and when the teachers give more opportunity and the freedom to just open their mouth, like, and so that should happen in each and every part of the learning, like starting from setting up the classroom, choosing the activities and the lesson plan and everything. So, and of course, by the end, like, the collaboration is more needed. So I think the activities, whatever you just showed to our teachers, are going to be more helpful. And I request all the teachers to just try and implement. I mean, we have to literally come out of our comfort zone and try. And of course, when I was a teacher, it really took very long time for me, because I exactly felt the same. Like, I mean, oh my God, like, I mean, you know, when I'm making my children talk, like, I mean, I'm losing my time. I won't be able to finish my lesson on time. You don't need to worry about that. I mean, once when you start exercising, when you start realizing, I mean, that learning is something incredible. So that's what we are all looking for in a modern education system. So thank you so much, Ms. Shabnam. Ms. Elnara? Ms. Elnara, would you like to say something?
Shabnam Khanum, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining. Thank you for just giving this spending this time on reinforcing, refreshing the knowledge of our teachers.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Elnara.
Thank you. Ms. Chinara?
Yeah, Ms. Shabnam. I really like the this workshop session. It's really useful, and I think like it will like this like cast mortgage approach. I mean, like it will give an opportunity to our teachers to make the learning much more student centered, you know, in the classroom, starting like from the beginning of the process till the end of the process. The learning process, of course, like the learning process is going, it never ends, but like, yeah, I think it will give them more opportunity to involve the students in the learning process. It will give an opportunity for students to be responsible for their learning rather than relying on the knowledge which they can just, you know, gain from the teachers. Thank you very much. I mean, thank you for spending your precious time with us. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Naram.
The good news is, like all these days, I mean, myself, Ms. Chinara, Ms. Elnara, we always, whenever we chat, we talk about like what kind of program we should implement to make it more student-centered and stuff like that. But the thing today, I mean, the teachers, what they responded, and within the short period of time, the tuning activities, whatever they said, that shows that they have the potential. So only thing they have to start activating. So teachers don't worry, like just, I mean, you have the full freedom. Like inside your classroom, you are the king, like you're the queen. Like, so just apply all these things and you will see a massive progress in your pupils' progress, and that will benefit, I mean, mutually. Like Ms. Shabnam says, like when the learning is happening, it's not only for the pupils, it's for the teachers as well. So, so both teachers and the pupils will grow together in a much better way. So that's what we are really looking for. All right. So once again, thank you so much for everyone. You made it during the weekend, and I wish you all a very good weekend. Enjoy. And so we're all getting ready to just get into the campus. We're all really very excited, and we started working on that with the new schedule of the timetable and etc. So yeah, enjoy your rest of the weekend.
Thank you, Ms. Shabnam. And thank you,
Bye-bye.
dear teachers, for spending your Saturday morning with us and with